It took
And
me
we
a
was
while.
That's not a
using
problem. I was
It took
gonna talk tonight and find out when's the next work session, so I can make sure I have screws and now screwdriver. Um, by then, when are
well,
we planning on the next session, Len?
it'd be at least 2 weeks.
Okay,
And we could schedule that after breakfast again, um, on the Saturday. And because the order won't get in until next week, I'm sure, but to Dave. Dave needs time to work on that. And that would be the next thing to go in if he gets it done, if it's because we, we want to figure, oh, we can just calculate out the space, but it'd be easier to continue the build down
yes,
that rather than try to put the repeater in and the power supply or the amp in and work around it. It'd be
yeah,
easier
I
to
totally agree with
continue
you.
on.
And so what I'll probably do, Len, just to keep things rosy, I'll pick it up and I'll bring it Saturday to breakfast. You going to be there this Saturday?
I plan to.
Okay, I plan to also. So I'll bring it with me and then you'll have it there just in case I'm not there for the next session.
Hard to believe all the stuff I have, and I know I had a torque set up at one time, but I got three sons, and I make it available to them. It's basically their garage is mine, so um, I just if they bring it back, fine. If they don't, or when they do is up to them. But
Evening,
I know
Al
I have.
and Hugh and Lester. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, do I have any audio? Anybody?
Yeah.
Len, can you hear me? Over, over.
Yep,
I sure can.
we're hearing you.
Okay, a question, Len. I noticed on the invoice from Antenna Farm that we also have an isolator dummy load, and I did not see that in your garage. Do you have?
No. Uh, um, who took that isolator? John. I think John took it, and along with it is the grounding bar. That's down here too.
Okay, was there also a circulator? Because I know there was mention of a circulator. I don't know if that's still going to be needed with the current network setup. I do believe it might be. I don't know if we're going to include it. So if that was also given to John in his possession, we got to keep track
I
of
think
it.
he
You
only
know
took
that
the one
isolate
thing.
that isolator was $1,500 when we purchased it, and right now the price of it is like 3,200.
You're
So we don't
kidding.
want. No, not at all. Nope. I sent an email out about it a couple weeks back.
Let me look over
So
here.
So yeah, as long as we keep an eye on where it is, and also the reason I ask is that has to be attached to the top of the duplexers. So whatever extra room that might need, perhaps I don't know if it can be set off to the side of the cavity filters or not. So we don't want to keep it too cramped in that cabinet if we have to still add a circulator
Right.
and a isolator dummy load.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was John that took it, and I didn't make a note of it. Oh, we know what we got here. 814010. The small box. I don't know what it is.
Probably a polyphaser. Is it a polyphaser?
Yes, it is
Okay.
polyphaser.
Yeah, there should be a couple of those. I think what, two or three. I do believe. I don't have the PO in front of me.
Well, there's another one here, and then there's a box, two boxes, grounding bar.
All right. Well, that wouldn't be a circulator already.
No, you
Yep.
see that?
Right. Yep. Yep. Beautiful.
There's another box
Oh.
like it. I don't know. I
Oh.
guess there's two grounding bars.
Hopefully, we won't have to use it for scrap metal.
Let's hope not, yeah.
Hey Phil, how you doing?
Okay. Glad your wife is okay.
Yeah,
Well, let's keep the circulator in question then for now. I know that was originally talked about weeks, months, whatever ago. So we do have the isolator dummy load. Perhaps it's in John's possession. Did he take it up to the old dart or the current dart? Is it in use, or we
I,
don't know where John used it for, or what he used it for, or why he's even
okay.
got it?
Joe and him agreed that he was gonna take it and use it for, use it up there. I assume at where the current, where it is right now.
Alrighty. Well, I guess what direction is this meeting going today? Should we talk about what's been accomplished, what has yet to be accomplished? Um,
Well,
I know I did talk to John Teagarden for a few minutes Saturday afternoon, and he was very informative on some possibilities and a couple things he did mention, namely that he did mention there probably is IP availability at the UHF site at the tower. And I do believe he mentioned that to Dave or Andrew. I'm not sure, along with myself. And I think that just became uh, into fruition. So I don't know. We might want to keep that in check in case we want to get our IP, VoIP, or whatever kind of link back into the UHF site. You know, at that point, all we might need is the radio thin client module. If that even, maybe not, maybe just a router. So I'm not sure on that network aspect. Secondly, TOI, John Teagarden verified that yes, there are antennas on top of the tower, and actually, the one vertical antenna is the Darts antenna for UHF.
right.
So I don't know if there is more
I
than
got
one
that email.
vertical. Okay, well, I don't know if he emailed. I didn't get an email on it, but
Uh,
I talked to him on Saturday at Lens, and he
Mm.
mentioned that the Yagi was probably part of the Beaumont system because the Beaumont, I don't know if it's their public service or whatever for Beaumont Hospital, which is now what Corwell. They also have their tower on the premises on the campus at Beaumont.
right.
So I think they said that they were using those Yagis to link in between them, which would, I guess, kind of make sense because if you think about it, there is no RF connection between the UHF and the repeater and the DART, the main site. Like our other remote sites are all VHF in the
Right.
remote receive site. So there's a UHF uplink back to the DART, which utilizes a Yagi. And at the UHF site, there is no Yagi needed because that's not how the two repeaters are linked. They're linked
Right. Oh
over
yeah,
Echolink.
that's how it
So
is
that
currently. But I
yeah,
didn't know,
so
what was in the past, because
right.
that
So
stuff's been around for a while.
and I guess there's like 1 inch hard line or something, according to John. He says it's a really good transmission line, and I guess it was a top of the line antenna that was put up by the club. He said probably about 25, 30 years ago. I don't know, he said Telwave, perhaps Telewave, maybe the other competition, but I guess it was a really decent antenna. So that antenna is outperforming actually the main at this point, or at least that site is, because we know our buddy Mike, W9MMM, he lives way out there by Richmond, and he can work that UHF site better than he can work the east site on the VHF. So the UHF is a good site. It's a perfect standalone site. We could leave that fusion only, and maybe down the road, wherever we end up with the VHF site, we could get a second repeater for UHF DMR and then play with the DMR on a whole separate system, a whole separate UHF system. That would be the intentions. But, we have to talk now. We're getting pretty caught up. I think, getting the cabinet, getting the repeater together, getting all the networking done. We got a direction we're going to go for VoIP. We know what we got to do. I think the cabinet and the repeater is going to come together quicker than we think. And also, we want to think about the backup supply for for the main and I guess even the UHF at that point. But right now we're concentrating on the VHF. The cost of the batteries. I know we got the cable. Len has mentioned there is a control program within the power supply that will keep the backup batteries fully charged.
And
I
also the
think,
repeater has one too.
okay, we got double. So we'll just have to allocate some cost for batteries, and I'm not up to speed on those Life Pros. I got a Delta Max here, and that's about it. So um, those are I guess, the areas that I was wanting to talk to everybody about. So
Regarding our achievements Saturday, boy, it's a lot more than I ever thought we'd get done, but we got the cabinet out and we remounted the rail and brought it out to the front because all this stuff mounts on the front of rail. And the good news is, the big news, that duplexer was made to fit on the rail. I didn't know that, but Andy and Art and Mike, we all worked together. Getting out of the box, that was a job in itself. And we saw the mounting points, and so the guys got it in there and saw just how. So we were able to bolt it up in place, and it's mounted where it needs to be right now. I don't expect to have to take that back out, although we could if we needed to, if we thought it was too tender. But and so we have the power supply mounted up on top. We're going to be bringing on down, mounting things from the top down. Andrew wanted to, for RF purposes, he wanted to keep the RF in one vicinity, I guess. So the power supply is up on top, and we're going to have this control circuitry below that. That's going to be controlling the power supply and the repeater, and we'll be able to remotely. And that control stuff has been ordered today. Bob put the order in today. Andrew and Dave agreed on what was needed there, so that should be here sometime after Thanksgiving for sure. It's not going to get there this week, so hopefully by the time we have our week from Saturday is when we should get together again if that stuff comes in and Dave has a chance to work on it like he wants to, put it together and set it up. Regarding the batteries that Al was mentioned about, I would highly recommend the lithium-ion batteries. It has a higher voltage, you can get more power out of them. And I don't think we need a big one, although we want to have it, if we want to double up on it and have a 200 amp available, we could, but I know 100 amp hour would probably get us more than a day operating. And remember, this repeater only it'll do 50 watts, but we'll probably operate at 20 watts into the amplifier. And if the power goes out, we'll just operate at 20 watts. That cable, I was going to mention to Dave. I don't know. Andrew's not here either. Well, I'll have to mention that later. I have a long cable that's a control cable that goes between the repeater and the power supply. It may be way too long for it, so they may want to get a shorter one so it don't have that extra long, heavy line. I don't know what the negative, outside of just being bulky, I don't know what the negative would be. Let's see. We do need more end patch cords. We're going to need some more end patch cords to go duplexer, but they'll all come out in the wash here in a couple of weeks.
Sorry, Len, you were addressing me and I tried to unmute and instead I left the meeting by mistake. Did you have something for me?
I just mentioned that long 25 connector cable that goes between the power supply and the repeater, that may be too long. We may have to buy a short one. And that's not something we want to really make up ourselves. It's be easier, cheap, and better, probably better quality control if we had one made up, um, as opposed to trying to do it ourselves. I don't
Wait,
have any experience.
are you talking about the DC power or because there's nothing that should connect between the power supply and the repeater. That there's DB25 connectors on both, but they're completely different pinouts and for different purposes.
Well, the only 25 pin one is on the back of the power supply, and another one on the back of the computer repeater.
Yeah, but they're completely different. They're for completely different purposes. They just happen to
Oh,
use the same shape, right? One you could have one be like a different shape and one be like a circle, the other one be the shape it is. They just happen to be the same shape. They don't need to be connected.
is that you, Andrew? I don't.
Yeah.
I don't see. I didn't see you on here. So okay, very good. Okay. Okay, well, that solves that then. We'll have to just get the cables we need then. Um, only reason I mention is that one that I have is pretty long. Okay. Is there anything else you have there, Andrew, that you'd like to mention about? Is there, and I also asked Dave, is there any other major purchases that you know of that coming up that we ought to prepare for? Any items that we know of that's
So
going to be hundreds of dollars?
I don't know if Bob ordered the RTCMs, but I have all the stuff in my junk drawer to make a interface cable between the repeater and the RTCM. So I was gonna do that. And then I think the only thing we would still need is the RTCMs and the GPS equipment that I sent Bob that email last night. And then the only other thing would be on that PO that would have went through today. We did not put the dishes on that because there was still the question of where the site was going to be, and the dishes that were spec'd out assuming that everything was going to be in the location it is today. We could go ahead and get those dishes now, but if our site were to change, we would potentially need to get new microwave equipment again, just in terms of the dish.
And I supported not getting them right now until we have our home, because we can make the system work using an internet link. Even if that's not the final link, we can get it working with using the internet. And then when we get dishes, the appropriate dishes for wherever the home is going to be, then we can just switch over from using the internet to using dishes.
Okay.
And they're still somewhat affordable, even if we went past the allotted grant time period, we could probably still afford it out of the regular club repeater fund, I would imagine at that point.
Yeah, they're $99 each, so it's $198 for the pair.
Okay, so yep, good choice. Hold off on those. I agree, absolutely, until we find the final destination for everything.
Now, one of the things that's coming is a 120 volt strip that it can be controlled each item power. Is that one of the things that are coming?
Correct. And it's I went with Ubiquiti. I kept it all in one ecosystem. Ubiquiti do a very nice app on your phone, and they also do a very nice dashboard on the computer. So it doesn't matter where you decide to do it from, but you can just go in there and you can turn stuff on and off on your phone if you're out and about, or you can do it from your computer if you're at a desk as well. It just means that we can power down the repeater from a phone if needed.
Now, what about the we have one computer that's gonna be our main controller that's gonna interface with the repeater. I know Dave is working on it, I'm working on it with my, but we need, I don't know, when I talked to Jeff at, the supplier, he's sending like a patch program that lets us work at 25 kilohertz bandwidth. This repeater is not set up right now for 25 kilohertz. It's set up for digital at 15, 12 and a half kilohertz bandwidth. So that's coming. And he was a little, when I told him we had several computers we're using, then I don't know if they license it for one computer. I'm not sure how that works out, but I'll find out when he calls. That's the best we can do.
Okay, there is currently a Windows 10 small form factor Dell PC up at the current repeater
Okay, well, I'm still safe. How can you do?
that we're using we're using it to interface with the current repeater. There's a USB to serial cable that interfaces with the current repeater.
Okay. Well, we may be able to use that. Okay.
They're inexpensive on the used market. I even have 5 or 6 of them in the garage without hard drives in them, and I think Andrew said that he has some of them as well. So, like, businesses use them for 3 years and then they e-waste them. So they're readily available on the used market.
They write them off. Okay. Very good. Okay. That's not an issue or a problem. And so we made great progress. I tell you, I'm just really excited about the progress we made last Saturday. I appreciate each one of you guys for coming out. And if anybody wants to see any pictures of it, I'm happy to send them on. Some of you that weren't able to be a part of it. I saw who else is here that Phil would is Phil still here? I thought he was here.
I'm here.
Oh, would you like me to send you pictures of the? I don't know how interested you are, but I really appreciate you being part of it here.
Sure.
Let's see. I think I got your email on because you give me on your membership, so I'll be sure to send you some pictures and a little description. Any thoughts or questions, Phil?
Now, did you decide, are you getting the RC210? Is that coming?
Dave, you want to address that? Or Andrew?
Andrew, you're in.
Yeah. We're using a full Echo Link to control everything since we're doing the voting and all that via Echo Link. It's easier just to have Echo Link also do all the control functions since it can do everything that the controller can do essentially.
So you're not getting the RC210. So you're just going to do that.
Yep. Yeah. Everything's going to be controlled by the All-Star computer.
All right.
What about Mark? Mark, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Would you like me to send pictures? Would you be interested in looking at the
Yeah,
progress?
I actually would be.
Good. I'll for sure have your email.
Yeah, you should have it.
And
Okay,
John,
anybody else?
you,
We don't need to drag it out here tonight unless somebody has some more topics they want to talk about. Right now, the order went in, and Bob's going to probably put Andy's order in. Between the two, they should complete the hardware needed for it, and then we can put it together in a couple weeks.
Can we find out, Len, the need for the circulator? And it hasn't been ordered, and if not, we might want to allocate money for it.
We had a
And
part
I
that
was
John took. I'm pretty sure.
so the circulator, you think John has both that and the isolator? I know we got the isolator, but I don't know if the circulator was ever ordered. I know there was talk about needing one. I don't know if we want
I'll have to go
keep
back
that
to
in
the
mind.
order and see what was on it, but I
All right.
without digging into it right now, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sure.
I
John's
thought it was
teaching-
installed last month.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what John took, and he wanted to put it in. So
Yeah, search your email for a subject of a VHF site visit on October 16th.
okay,
So he mentioned that him and Mike W8VPC installed the new circulator.
yeah, I talked to VPC a couple times. In fact, I talked to him a couple hours ago, and he was glad he wants to be a part and contribute to the repeater, and so he's busy. All right, anything else?
I'm good.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll do it again next week, next Monday, if all goes well. I'm sure it will. See you then. Thanks again.